Hello, shooters, loaders, and casters. Welcome to the Georgia Shooting Connection Friday night live stream. I'm sorry, I messed up. None of these other panel members did. It's all on me. But I'm tired.
No worries.
Yeah, we're in it. James Pollard's
Okay, Kyle's not here to do that thing he does. So, CW, how's your week been, brother?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the chat. It's another Friday. We're fixing to have a good time. We got a topic to talk about. As always, we want to hear what you guys have to say. So if you got something you want to talk about or add to it, by all means, speak up, post up, make sure we see it. I had a pretty good week, better than previous. Nothing extraordinary, but that's all right. Good weeks, smooth weeks, nothing special is okay. I'll take it. Got a couple videos out. I got another video working. I actually was able to pick up 2 bullet molds, two cheapy Lee single cavities from the same guy, and I'll have a video on that coming up on Rumble. I'll put what I can on here on YouTube. We're going to actually use a couple of those bullets tonight in our demonstrations on what we're talking about. So that's about it for me. Gene, how was your week, and what do you got going on? And you got to turn your speaker on.
I was having a hillbilly, sorry. My week was pretty good. I was off work except for my main job at the reloading place, except for yesterday and today. So I actually got to the range, did some videos, and I've got a nice series going on right now. I've started with the Rock Island Armory high capacity 10 millimeter. I believe
saw that. Looks good.
I'm gonna get that tuned in and straightened out, and I'm gonna try that in some USPSA. Bringing the best millimeter to the show, baby. But looking forward to the subject tonight. I'm ready to get some schooling on because the more I know, the less I know. Walter, what you got?
Hey, there we go. We gotta watch what Mock's doing here. All right. Hey, thanks for having me aboard here again. As always, I'm happy to be here on a Friday night. It's what I look forward to all day long. And he's right there, man. Put a camera on her. Come on, man. There we are. All right. Hey, it's all about the little ones, man. I'm telling you what. So, yeah, my name is Walter, and I'm a moldaholic, and I've been sober for a whole week without buying a new mold. So, let's see, what do I have going on? I got some casting done yesterday for Moldy Monday videos about 3 weeks ahead. I'm 3 or 4 weeks in advance right now, so that was good. I tried out some new powder coats yesterday that I had not tried before, and I was kind of scaredy cat to try, and they turned out good. I'm always chicken to try anything that says vein or translucent. And well, one of our friends over on High Boys Forum, New Mexico Mike, had tried this one called Flame Red Translucent, and he showed a picture. I said, "Oh, I got to try that," and it was good. And then I tried a couple others that also turned out. That one was called Golden Vein, and the other one was Teal Vein, all by Eastwood, and they all worked really good, and they're great colors. I was happy about that. So I'm going to actually do a separate video. I used to do. I had a series going for. I lost my last channel that were powder coat shorts that just said, "Hey, here's a new coat. Bump, bump, here's what it looks like." So I think I'm going to fire that thing up again just because of these 3 that were that cool. So. Moldy Monday coming out on Monday. Other than that, nothing thrilling. I got the new Ruger Mark IV 22 pistol out yesterday. Barely. I didn't have a chance to do any video with it, but I did shoot it, and it shoots well. It's a really kind of a good shoot. pistol. I got new grips coming to from Ruger. They got a really nice looking set from them, and I'll get out and do some video with that this week. So that's where I'm at. Hey, Mr. Mock, you ready to talk? What do you got going on? Probably
Yeah,
not.
can you hear me fine?
We can hear you.
Can you hear
side
me?
by side, 4x4. Yes, sir.
5x5.
All right. Howdy, folks. It's been a while. Hopefully, y'all are doing good. I got my granddaughter Bella with me. We're heading home. So if I disappear, that's what's up. Not much going on here. Just did some chrono work the other day. Got some speeds for the old little Rusky rifle. And other than that, we'll pass it over to West Coast Dave.
Well, hey guys, welcome to the chat, and I just wanted to say tonight's subject is going to be pretty interesting. I have a few views on it. I'm sure we all have a few views on it. And, it really is an interesting subject, needs to be addressed, and get everybody's 2 cents in there, about it. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And one thing I wanted to bring up to Walter, I wanted to say, those Ruger Mark IIs, they're a best buy. As far as, if you're going to go ahead and you're going to get a starter match pistol, you can't go wrong with a Mark II, Mark IV, those series of guns. They shoot really good. And, there's some drawbacks to them. And I think I went and addressed that in my comment to what your channel was. But
You did.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't pass one up. If anybody's going to go out there and they want to shoot bullseye and they want to get into extreme accuracy, they want to learn a few things about sight alignment, trigger control, and all that, you can't go wrong with a Mark II. It's or any of the Mark series. They're very good learning tools, as far as marksmanship. I strongly recommend, because they're affordable. That's just the way it is,
Yeah, I've had the Mark II, the slab side, for quite a while, a number of years, and so the Mark IV was new to me just because we just got it available to us here in California. It just went on our roster a month ago, so I snagged it before they figured out that they screwed up and allowed it on.
By the way, if any of the viewers are out there and you take apart your Mark II, okay, it's kind of a pain in the butt to put back together. On my old channel, if you go ahead and go to my old channel, there's a clip on there about how to put it back together, and it's very simple. And once you understand how to do it, it's a piece of cake. I mean, you can do that in less than 3 minutes. Put it all back together and have it function, no problem.
Yeah, it's not hard.
It's not hard.
My Mark II, the little slide stop post, is real tight. I need to take it out and polish it a little bit, and that's the worst part. I don't have any trouble getting the strut lined up or any of that kind of stuff with that one. It's just like, man, I almost want to get my little hammer and tap that sucker in there. It's so tight.
Yeah, don't get tempted above
it.
Don't get tempted above it. That hammer, man, has ruined more damn guns than you believe.
It's tempting sometimes, let me tell you. Yeah. But yeah, I'm good with that. The Mark IV is way easier though, man. You push a little button, the whole top comes off, the barrel comes off, and you're good to go.
The only thing I really have against the Mark II series or the Mark series is that all the internal, components that make up the trigger is exposed to the breech. So you get an awful lot of dirt in there. And my suggestion to anybody is don't separate, well, if you got a Mark II or anything that uses the wedge type thing that attaches the receiver to the frame, don't take it apart, because you keep taking it apart there, you're going to get loose. And I had one gun that was like that. And anyway, all you really need to do is just pull the bolt out, squirt it out with, take the grips off of it, squirt it out with WD-40, and then blow it out with some compressed air, and it's as clean as it needs to be.
Well,
yeah.
Let's keep going with our guys over here. Hey, Mark.
Hello, all. Hope everybody's having a good evening. Sorry I was a little bit late getting dinner squared away. It's been a nice week. Got out and did some shooting. We all made some of our Let Freedom Ring videos. That was good. And I spent the day after cleaning a lot of guns. And the day after that, reloading a lot. I probably did probably 75 357 and then almost 138s just to replenish all the supplies. and started working on just a couple little projects, reloading some things that I've been wanting to and hadn't gotten to. I did some 44s with some commercial bullets. I dug out that package of 35 Remington bullets that CW sent me, loaded up a couple of those, and hoping to get those to the range next week and try them out. I just did like a little batch of 6, and just going to see what they do, see how they work out with that Marlin. And well, that's been pretty much my week. We spent a little bit of time at the pool this afternoon until we got rained out. There it is.
Had to bring it, didn't you? You had to bring that, didn't you?
So, New Tex I Can told me to tell y'all that he said howdy, and he's having technical issues back at the Ponderosa. So, get back on when you can there, Mr. New Tex I Can. He's, we need all the viewers we can get since I put the thing on the wrong channel to start off with, you know. And I heard CW talking. I'm like, are you sure it's Friday? Man, it's feeling like Monday morning to me, really bad right now. But anyway, we want to talk about heavy for caliber bullets tonight. Bullets that, we'll talk about the light ones too if y'all want to. But, you know, it seems like the thing these days is to, our bullets keep getting heavier and heavier in certain calibers, and we might want to address that. And of course, Andy 79Z28, what's up, Andy? He's going the opposite way, making zinc. He's making the zinc bullets. So we might want to talk about how all of that relates. Uh, and one thing that brought this on, CW got a couple of new molds this week. I got a new mold too, and I want all you guys to know. I want all you viewers to listen to what I'm about to say right now. The Georgia Shooting Connection channel received a copyright claim on the show last week because of Grand Old Flag by Johnny Cash. So all I'll say to that is I hate that happened, but it was worth it. And if I had it to do over again, I'd do the same thing again.
It doesn't mean anything. It just means you can't collect money for the video. That's all it means. If it's a copyright claim.
Like so far, I've spent probably in 6 years, I've spent thousands making videos. And how much have I received back from YouTube? Yeah,
Goose egg.
Goose egg. Yeah.
I'm really concerned about that. I mean, they are our host. I wouldn't want to have them mad at me or anything. But not just that, the first installment of my 308 Winchester series, by the time I got it loaded, it had a age restriction on it. And so there you go. I guess it'll be on, the whole series will be on the Reloaders Network and on Rumble. Rumble,
I age restrict all my videos. That's a setting in my YouTube.
Say that again.
All of my stuff, all of my videos are age restricted. Every one of them. It
You
doesn't
put
matter.
the age restriction on it?
I did.
Okay.
And it's what it does is if you don't have age restriction, no one can comment on your video. If you don't.
Yeah, children too. Made for children, that'll take off the comments.
So what do, Gene? You just do you have to go in there and physically turn on the comments after you put a age restriction on it?
No, it's the other way around. If
Yeah, you got it backwards.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah,
that's in your.
if you don't turn the age restriction on, then nothing shows up in your comments. The only way you're going to get comments on your videos is if you turn the age restriction on, like Gene said.
Yeah, like Gabriel said too. If you age restrict it, there's no notifications on anything you upload either.
Yeah, there's some settings you can do, kind of like generic across the board.
Mhm.
You maybe don't even know it, but there is, and that's part of them.
I think mine kicked in because I kept doing it, and after a while, it just my upload into YouTube, it just automatically kicks it up that it's an age restricted video and that there's no minors in it.
Yeah, but that's not what the people came to see and hear about. Even though I started it on the wrong channel, so there's that.
Well, let's start off on the wrong topic too. That's
All
good.
right. It's okay, Jamie.
Yeah, I mean,
Meshing.
yeah. Okay. Heavy for caliber bullets. We got to get focused. And we'll talk about this a few minutes and then we'll run down the side chat and we'll be thinking of something to get y'all to type in. Or I could just go over here to the participants list and see who's watching. But I probably won't do that because that's never accurate. You know what I mean?
Paul Loud's got it right.
I like big meat pats. Cannot lie. You other boys can't deny.
Meat Flat Monday.
There's Bama Dad.
If I don't put a fat me plat bullet on Moldy Mondays, I get all kinds of jazz from this guy right up there. He's the first guy to jump on it. Well, that was a good looking book up there. Yeah, it's a round nose and it's worthless. And I'm going, oh, sorry, CW. But I didn't make it for you.
Okay. Well, me and Dave were talking about this topic earlier, and the first thing that pops into my mind is you got forever. It seemed like when we bought 9mm rounds, we had a choice of 115 or 124. Now all of a sudden we got 147. My tester says 265 grain for 300 blackout. So, yeah, but 147 seems heavy in 9mm to me. I mean, that's getting into the 38, 357 realm,
Mhm.
and yeah,
Yeah, I've shot a few 147 grains out of 9mm, and you're going to notice a difference. I personally feel no need to do that. I did it just kind of to try it, and I bought 4,000 of them one time from Everglades because they had them for just dog cheap. They were I don't know, 6 cents a piece or something. I bought a whole mess of them, and now that I've got these 38 supers, I can shoot a bunch of those, and they're jacketed bullets. But yeah, for a 9mm, 124, 125 grains seems it. I mean, it's kind of like with a 38, 357, 158 grains, kind of where we are. But Lyman makes that 358 430, which is almost 200 grains, and it's a big bullet for even a 357, and you stick it in a 38 special, and it's gonna go whammy. They hurt my hands when I start pushing those big ones out of a little revolver. But
we've got a sighting
all the
boys.
gamers out there in USPSA run 150 grain 9mm.
Let's get back to that. We got a sighting in 3, 2, 1.
hey, Mario!
West Coast weirdo.
The Battle Bean himself is here.
The sexiest man on YouTube.
That's him right there. Yeah, personally, I don't see a whole lot of trending in the recreational shooters that I hang out with. And I don't hang out with much of the competitors because we don't do competition at our range. You got to go out of town, and the guys in the gun club that are competitors, are doing the same thing. The guys that are out there, needing to make power, or they're needing to knock bowling pins over. They're shooting bigger bullets. But for me, I'm happy shooting a 124 grain bullet out of a 9. I like the 140 to 150, maybe even 160 grain out of that 38 Super, and that's about it. And I like a 255 grain bullet for the 45 Colt. And then after that, starts sounding like 45-70 to me.
I think
Yes,
tops.
you-
I think tops about 130 grains, 135 grains is about right for the the 9mm for what it's
Well,
designed.
we got,
Bless you.
bless you.
What it's designed for.
We got G23 said 155 grain, and I think Harm said 165 and 9mm.
Man, those are huge. For
Yeah,
that
the
caliber,
best,
those are huge. The
Maybe
message
what-
especially, like hollow points that are very fragmentational. I know that Iraq, he did a series on real heavy 9mm that were like that, and he was showing what they could do to pumpkins and all kinds of other crap, and they were devastating, but still, you're giving up to get there in the way of velocity, I think, and you're getting the expansion and all that stuff, but then it goes back to velocity, and you're really pushing that little 9mm at that point to really perform. That's my opinion. Okay, so
the best cast lead bullets that I've ever shot out of my CZ75 were that little Lee mold, that 102 grain bullet. And man, that thing, you could just point it, unload all 3 magazines, and when you get done, you just got a fist size hole in the paper.
That's because those things are screaming.
well, I'll tell you guys what, that 130 grain M&P mold, it casted about 132 grains. I went out and shot that last week. I casted up a bunch and cranked them out, and I'll tell you what, the shots that I was able to hold in the black with just my left hand, I'm going to tell you what, at 25 yards, I shot a ragged hole with those. There's some
Nice.
scattered out there on the right, but I'll tell you what, the ones that I get in the black, man, went right through the same hole. So that is an excellent bullet. It shoots on the 9mm, absolutely perfect. Actually, for a 9mm, that's a good load to shoot at the 50-yard range. Because it's very stable, very accurate. It's got a long bearing surface, and it cuts a nice hole because it's a semi-wad cutter design. Very nice. That M&P mold, it's great. And it's an 8-cavity mold. So it doesn't take you long to cast up, quite a bit.
He's got one. 100. I think mine comes in at 133, 134 grains or something like that. About the same kind of bullet, and it shoots well in both 38 and 9mm.
CW, dude, you're up there, man. You're not saying anything. I know that you're just going to explode with what you got to tell us, and I'm really asking you. We give you the table.
I'm just letting the field kind of calm down and say their piece. Trying not to do the talk over things.
Kind of calm down.
Yeah, we see those heavy bullets, and it's a little bit seen in handgun stuff, but it's really taken off with the rifles, and a lot of that is actually the weight is a byproduct of what the target is, and the target is a long projectile, long bearing surface, and what it's for is to get the BC and the numbers up for calibers like 6.5 Creedmoor, where everybody wants to get 1,000 yards and mile shooting and all that, and they want a really long bullet. And you're starting to see a lot of calibers popping that are similar to calibers that existed, but they've got a lower or a faster twist. And the reason for that is to stabilize a longer bullet. And the reason for that is to get a little better ballistics, a little better wind bucking ability out of your bullets, which you get from a longer bullet. So a byproduct of a longer bullet with cup and core is weight. You're seeing that with the copper bullets. They're long, but they're not. They're long to be the same weight. So if you're looking at, say, a 180 grain 30 caliber in a cup and core bullet next to a 180 grain copper bullet, that copper bullet's substantially longer than the cup and core. So you're getting that length to pick up that ballistics without the weight. So, and it all pertains to optimal rifling twist to stabilize the longer bullet. And everybody kind of gets hung up on the weight part of it, but it's really the bearing surface. And to call out James Pollard, he did some videos recently on a 75 grain 223 and a 1-in-9 twist barrel. So if you run the calculators, that's right on the cusp of not being stabilized at certain elevations and certain velocities that you're shooting it at, because velocity and elevation are going to change those numbers a little bit as to what will stabilize when you're on the cusp or on the fringe of being stable. But the difference is he's shooting a cast bullet, and generally speaking, cast bullets are going to have a shorter bearing surface than a jacketed bullet. So where a jacketed bullet of, let's say 77, there's still a few 75s out there, but let's just say 77. I tried in a bunch of different 1-in-9s that I couldn't get it to stabilize. I never tried 175, but the 173 and the 73s and the 68s, 69s were beautiful, beautifully stabilized, beautifully accurate. But as soon as I stepped up to 77 in 223, I had just basketball groups, and I started to have some wobbling and some tail walking and some even full profile hits on the paper. So when I looked into the heavy caliber 223 lead bullet, I decided to stay with 65 to make sure that I could stabilize. And James went with the 75, and so did Andy. But Andy wanted it for
Zinc.
For zinc, yeah. And with zinc, it's a wholly different story. You still got the same bearing surface, but you're only, 60% or so of the weight. So you got substantially lighter bullet, but it really makes no difference because it's the bearing surface, the part of the bullet that engages the rifling, that determines the twist that's required to stabilize it. And since we're going to go down the rifling twist road, one thing that everybody seems to get hung up on is, this bullet won't stabilize in that, this bullet will stabilize in this. Something you need to remember and realize is you can't overstabilize a bullet. And I say that meaning that if you've got a 1-in-7 really, really fast twist in a 223 and you want to shoot 40 grain bullets, some people will tell you that it won't work because that twist is made to work with the really long bullets. Well, all it really does is just spin it faster. You can get into some issues over rotating a bullet, especially when you've got really thin jackets or sharp rifling. You can get into some issues, but it's not a stabilization issue. It's actually coming apart because of the rotation. It's still stable. It's just coming apart.
By the time
Yeah. the rotational values, the RPMs of that bullet are astounding when you get into those really fast bullets.
Yes.
Astounding. Hundreds and hundreds of
Absolutely.
thousands of RPMs.
Yeah.
Huge numbers. So, but a well-constructed bullet, it's going to be fine. It's going to withstand that. And my own belief is that's part of the reason why cast bullets, lead cast bullets, don't do as well in the really faster twists. They just don't stabilize as well because they don't. The strength of the lead is reaching your edge of what you can accomplish, what you can maintain. Zinc, on the other hand, is much harder, as Andy just said there. Yeah, zinc will not come apart. Zinc is not as hard as copper, but it's much harder than lead. So
Yes.
it's proving to be just fine in the faster twists. And Andy's shooting some really good groups and having a good time with his zinc. So yeah.
I think the best guy for what William brought up about the bullet weight versus the twist rate, or the bearing surface versus the twist rate. I think that Walter would probably be, have the best answer on that. I mean, he seems to be most scientific about that sort of stuff, and that might be something that Walter might want to research. I know one thing. I just lost everybody.
Oh, we're here.
Okay,
We just
here? Okay, we're back.
slowed down.
But across okay. Well, across the course, when we went and fired across the course, the guys with a 1 in 9 twists, the highest they could shoot was a 69 grain bullet, and they didn't get very good accuracy out of their ARs. And so what happened was that the 75s came online, more bearing surface, but then they had to go to a 1 in 8 twist, and you could shoot up to a 90 grain bullet out of a 223 with a 1 in 8 twist. But that was at 600 yards. You were really pushing that bullet with a lot of powder. And the best thing to do after shooting those is take that brass and chuck it. It's done. Yeah, that was that's just part of the cost of shooting a match. But yeah, another thing too that I can't really prove it because you'd have to have slow speed camera with zoom and all that other stuff. But it seems to me that the density of the air, the density of the air and the actual temperature of the air has a lot to do with light bullets, because you shoot a light bullet and as in an extreme velocity, but the problem is that lighter bullets shed their speed a lot faster. And what happens is as the bullet goes through the air, it's cutting through the atmosphere, and the atmosphere's temperature is changing as it goes down. And what happens is that bullet starts to follow those mirages, those heat waves. And so unless you can fire consistently, with that same mirage every time, you're not going to get the same accuracy with lighter bullets at longer ranges, because it's going to be doing the little up and down thing as it's going through those heat waves and stuff. And I heard that from a guy that he's AMU, and I kind of respect his opinion on that. Like I said, I can't prove it, but it seemed to me like he knew what he was talking about when it came to lighter bullets being shot across the course, out to 600 yards. And it makes perfect sense to me.
Absolutely, yeah. Lab radar really showed us a lot. And if you guys watch any of the Hornady podcasts, they talk about some of this stuff. Lab radar really opened a lot of people's eyes to what bullets do at range, and that's the biggest reason you saw a lot of these ELD, ELDM type bullets. They found that the ballistic tips were actually deforming to the point of causing problems with long range, which is ironic because that was what they were designed to be, what they were imparted to be. And the materials that they were made out of and the velocity that they were running at, along with the rotation that they were spinning at, was causing them actually to just deform to the point where they had a negative effect on the ballistics of that bullet. So they reformulated and changed their materials, and it made all the difference in the world. I hear a lot of people talk about conventional ballistic tip bullets as hollow points, because that's really what they are. They
All
aid
right.
in expansion because they push back into the bullet. They keep the bullet nose from picking up debris. It's a hollow point. It's a hollow point bullet. But these ELD-Ms and X's, the material that tip's made out of is totally different, and it withstands the forces imparted on it with long range shooting.
So if we can, let's say hello to Hillbilly, American Hillbilly. What's going on, Hillbilly?
Hey
Up?
guys, how y'all doing this evening? Man,
Good.
sorry I'm late. Doggone it.
Well, we'll just go out and start over since you're here now. So,
Well, I was listening to you on my phone, so
well, we welcome you
Jamie.
in.
great chat already, man. It's great.
Hey,
Yeah, it's
Jamie, why don't we go ahead and go down the side chat if you do that, or
That's-
somebody would do
that's
that?
what
I
I'm
can't see
trying
the
to
side
do, brother. That's what I'm trying to do.
chat. I can't get
All
the
right,
side chat.
everybody, type in. Let's see, what can we have them type in tonight? How about 9mm? Type in 9mm, and we'll say hey to you on TV. How about that? Or YouTube, closest thing we got to TV. So Walter says 9mm. Guys, this ain't an editorial. I'm just trying to say hi to you and be nice and welcome everybody in. And we all get my main man CW's 40. And I left that comment up there. We got to get back to Mr. Pollard's question. Andy says zinc. Harm says jiffy. Reloading from the hot pot. GGW Outdoors, William C. Chapin, Bobby Barlow, Edward Petty, Bama Dad, Hillbilly Up, Andy 79Z28, Floridian, Lakeview Outdoors, Ocean 374, what's up, man? Paul Loud, Tim McDonough, Hasbro, Duffer 426, Walks Fletcher, Harm, James Pugh, Mike Hester, James Pollard, Trees a Blowing, Dwayne, Fuzz T Fork 8, Pat in a Bunker, William C. Chapin, Michael Hurtneck, MCK, Chris Winsett, Bama Dad, 6-shooter Texan, Thoughts of an Old Soldier, G23, Hillbilly Up, Mike Hester, Thoughts of an Old Soldier, Jerry Parker, Hobbies Hobo, and I think that's all. Golly, man, y'all are blowing the place up. I can't keep up with the comments. I want to thank all y'all for being here, man. It's and I'm flustered. I'm still freaking from starting the stream on the wrong channel. I'm yeah. Yeah. Can I breathe now? I'm supposed to be here to relax on Friday nights. But it ain't working.
Jamie, it's in the past. You have to let it go.
I know, but I
No,
expect better.
My life does not have rear view mirrors.
I expect
Jamie,
better of myself.
open palms. Don't clinch onto it. Open palms. Let it go.
No, that's weird. Don't do that. Just take a deep breath.
Open palms. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So what do you think of Mr. Pollard's
shave my
question?
I think I agree with what CW was saying about you can't overspend a bullet, but I think too much spin affects accuracy. I think with I think you've got to match up uh, bullet hardness, your twist rate, the bullet that you're shooting, and your pressure and velocity.
Right.
I want to bring something else into this.
All right.
Barrel length. Whenever I'm loading a new cartridge or looking into loading a cartridge, I look up what is the optimum bullet, optimum twist rate, and barrel length for best accuracy and velocity of said bullet in said caliber.
Yeah.
Like a 308, 18-inch is not optimum barrel length.
No, it's
20,
not.
20 is.
At 20, I like a 22-inch barrel, 6.5, and yeah.
Yeah, so this does come into play in everything we're talking about too.
I've got a question because I don't know, because I don't shoot enough competitively and I don't shoot long guns very much. So if a bullet in its travel down the barrel makes more than one complete revolution, so say you have a 1 in 7 twist, okay, if you got more than a 7-inch barrel, why does it matter? If you can, if you're going to give the bullet at least one complete RPM, or not RPM, but one complete revolution in its travel down the barrel, why does 2 revolutions down the barrel in a 14-inch barrel help it out anymore?
You ever try to shoot pool with a pencil?
No, but I once rode a boat with a rope. How's that?
We don't want to hear the rope. All right. No, we don't hear the rope stories.
Talking about hot dogs and hallways. Okay.
But Walter, it's like optimum bullet weight for a 9mm is 124. To what I've looked up and what I've seen myself, and that's in a 4 1/4 inch barrel, and that's optimum for a 9mm.
Okay, well, if I can plagiarize a little bit, and there's a very good, interesting subject on this whole thing, actually two, is one of the things British muzzleloaders did a whole series about the Lee Enfield rifle, and Mark One, the Mark One Star, the Mark One, the number fours and number one Mark Ones, and all the way through that. And the British, they stepped down the weight and grains in their bullet, and they changed the twist rates for optimum accuracy. So they went through this whole series of this stuff of how to do that. And, it was generational. It took them 20 years to go through all that. Yeah. So, and then there's another thing too. I was watching Jerry Michalik, and he was bringing up, the Smith & Wesson, revolvers and Colt revolvers and Ruger revolvers. Now, Ruger and Smith & Wesson share the same twist rate for 357 or 38 specials, which is a 1 in 18 twist. And Colt has a 1 in 14 twist. And what they found out was that the match shooters at that time had better time shooting the Colts than the Smith & Wessons or the Rugers because of the twist rate. It just shot better in the hand. And there was, as far as your hold and being lined up on the sights. And it was the 1 in 14 shot the wad cutter a lot quicker down the barrel than the 1 in 18. And so they had better luck, with the Colts. In fact, that's where, one of the Colts' main, Achilles heels was that the Colt Pythons is that they had smooth triggers, and they were very nicely made. However, they had very lightly made parts in them, and they were prone to breakage after a while, and they'd wear out prematurely, and the Smith would hold up. So what a lot of guys did is they made a smolt, which is they took a Colt barrel with a 1 in 14 twist on it and then put it on a frame of the Smith & Wesson and shot that back to PPC. So that was one of the things they did. Yeah.
I think, back to Walter's question, I think, in rifle, almost all of our barrels have more than one revolution. Because if you're looking at a like Gene was saying, 22-inch, 30 caliber is typically a 1 in 10 twist rate.
It just seems to me like if you have a say a 1 in 10 versus a 1 in 7 twist rate, that obviously that with the same barrel length, that 1 in 7 is likely to have a little bit higher RPM coming out the end of the barrel.
Much higher.
But if you have the 1 in 10, can you mitigate that difference by increasing the barrel length enough to where you got enough velocity coming out that you're still going to get the same RPM, or no?
No,
I think the more important thing about barrel length is burning the powder up before
Yeah.
the.
that's
Oh,
the difference.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just
I'm
wondering
sure-
about
I'm
velocity.
sure there's a difference, but I don't think it's substantial or
Yeah.
appreciable.
Yeah, velocity and RPM are two different things, and so I'm curious about if you get enough velocity, is a little bit slower RPM okay as far as stabilizing the bullet, or is the spin rate of that bullet more important than the velocity, or are they equal, or
The ratio of RPMs to bullet stability is super broad.
okay.
Super broad. Meaning it's still good over a broader range.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering, and it, I suppose it comes down to if you want a definitive answer, you got to get your lab radar out and go test them.
Look at
and
a top.
and see what works.
When you were a kid spinning a top. Yeah, I'm dating myself, but you know what I mean, Walter. You spin that
Absolutely.
top, and it's going. You spin a coin. You take a quarter and you spin it on your desk at school, whatever. It gets to a certain RPM, and it tips over.
It fails.
So
Yeah.
yes, but you look at the range of RPMs that sits there and spins straight. It goes from as fast as you can make it to almost falling over, and it stays straight.
Yeah, I
That's what I
personally,
mean
with
about
my
the
physics
quality.
background, I think there's a whole lot more that's going on there. That a lot of stuff that we can't see with the RPMs. That there's a lot of what that bullet is doing to the atmosphere that it's passing through and creating eddies behind that bullet. That and vortices.
why
We see that in aircraft, and Chapin knows what I'm talking about with wingtip vortices, and that's got to affect the stability of
It
that
does,
bullet.
and that's why altitude plays a factor. That's
Yep.
what I said. Altitude plays a factor because it surely does. So does temperature.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Temperature,
Yeah.
because that affects the density of the air, and it's just brings up this whole big idea of what particularly long distance shooting is going to be all about. You've got to bring all of this stuff to
All of
bear.
those things are exactly what Dave said with the heat waves and the different pockets of cold air and warm air and dense air and not so dense air and hot air and cool air, and that's exactly right. They all play a factor, but luckily they're a minute or a lesser factor. They don't abruptly affect it, but as you stretch in yardage in range, they have a greater effect because they're in contact with it longer.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just so interesting. It's such a big concept.
It's huge.
Well, 22-250, typically 1 in 14 twist, 1 in 16 twist if you wanted one, but you shot really light bullets. 50 grain, 52 grain. Or you didn't go up to 60 and all that. You didn't do that. 22-250 was made for a very light bullet at a very high velocity, and 4,000 feet per second.
I think a very easy way for someone to get into the understanding this that doesn't is just to study aerodynamics, even car aerodynamics, because car aerodynamics also transfer to bullet aerodynamics. It's all the same when you break it down to the bottom of the barrel it's going to all be the same. And I've had the privilege of studying some aerodynamics through racing motorcycles,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and trying to understand how things work around you.
You're that guy that had the wings on the side of his helmet, weren't you? The big Viking wings things. You were that dude, man. I've seen
Well,
that before.
and Chapin's over there. He says low, slow, dirty, and heavy, and that's aircraft talk, you know. And I'm a pilot, and so is he. So we kind of get that, and you know, we know what that means. And I'd never thought of it before about this relationship between the way a bullet's flying and the way an airplane flies. And there's so many similarities. You know, we take a little Cessna 152, which is the Honda 50 of airplanes, and you fly over a black unplanted agricultural field and then fly it over a green field, and the airplane goes and you can feel it and hear it, and the flight path is disrupted, and if you're down there standing on the ground, you don't feel any difference, but there are vertical air currents and there's horizontal air currents that are created by just these variations in temperature at ground level, and a bullet's got to be feeling all of that stuff too in its flight, and that bullet's going a lot faster than any airplane I ever flew, but nonetheless, it's going to have an effect.
Another thing the common person is going to see are birds.
Mm-hmm.
Birds floating in the sky. Well, they're catching a hot air pocket coming off the earth, and that's what maintains them, and that's actually look around and break time for them.
Yeah, thermals.
Yeah, they hit the thermals, and
yeah, all the birds of prey, you see them, all of them doing it. Seagulls doing it. You know, they all do it. But another way to talk about stability. I don't know if any of you have worked with bicycles. If you take a bicycle rim and tire, take it off the bicycle and you hold it by the axle, by the nuts, and you spin it. Take those spokes and you spin it. You spin that as fast as you can spin it, and then try and change position. It's very hard to do if it's going fast. If it's barely spinning, you can tip it very easy.
Sure.
So there you
Gyroscopic action. Yeah. Gyroscopic action is a strong force.
It's not easily or greatly affected by anything. But as it slows, it is.
Go into a corner too fast with an H1 500. I've done that.
Go, yeah. That's what's kept all of these guys up here who rode bikes, you know, motorbikes. That's what keeps us upright.
She'll start to wobble on you, and you can't do nothing about it except slow down and pray.
Centripetal force very strong.
I've had people ask me that seeing pictures of me racing. They're like, "How do you don't fall down?" No, it's momentum. You know, it's keeping that momentum up through that turn.
Yeah, that's why when you rode a bicycle as a kid, you could take your hands off the handlebars and it would go because it's spinning. If you go too slow, you couldn't do it. But if you were going a fairly good clip, you could do it. And you could steer by leaning.
Here's another thing too. You know, for the AR crowd out there, I'm pretty sure that anybody has really done any research about AR, you know, the AR platform and what it originated from. But the original, you know, AR-15 that they came out with, you know, Vietnam era AR-15 didn't have a forward assist or anything like that. Those had a 1 in 14-inch twist. They shot 55 grain bullets. And what they found out is that 1 in 14 twist was devastating. It was like he was saying about the top, you know, a bullet that has a very slow twist rate, it's barely being stabilized as it's going through the air. As soon as it hits something, it dumps all its energy right there. It spins out of control. You know, a faster twist rate will cause that bullet to drill through, you know, whatever subject matter you're trying to shoot. And that's what they found out. Yeah, they wanted to get more distance out of the AR, so what did they do? They went ahead and they tightened up made it a faster twist rate to the 1 in 12, then 1 in 9, then they went to a 1 in 7, and it seems like 1 in 8 seems to be about the middle of the road that everybody wants to shoot because it stabilizes more.
Yeah, all right, I'm going to say some things now. I've listen,
Manny.
This comment right here, we need to address this. It irritates me that twist is given in inches instead of calibers. And this is my thinking on that subject. There's no other way to give twist rate than in inches, because what you're talking about is the how far it takes the bullet to make one turn. And what's going on here is you've got that twist rate inside that barrel that's turning that bullet. So you've got to think of it in inches. So when it gets to the caliber relation to it, I think that the twist rate inside that gun matters to the caliber. Um, I think bigger bore guns can get by with a lower twist rate, and I think the more critical the twist rate is on smaller caliber firearms, like a 223 or a 243 or 270. I think it's more critical to match the bullet weight with the twist rate as when you get up into like 35 Remington, the 308, and on up, 4570. You know, what we're doing here is we're, like Steve said it the best. Let me show this comment. The trick is to spin the bullet enough to stabilize, but not too much to create drift. So if your bullet's coming out of there too fast, it could catch the wind and spin. You're also blending that with a ballistic coefficient that's going to deflect the wind, ride through the wind, but that also means you've got to match that twist rate. But I think when this becomes important is when we go up to those bullet weights that are beyond what's designed for the caliber. So, like when we get up to say a 90 grain in 223, and when we get up to like a 200 grain in 357 Magnum, I think that's when you might need to think about if that's what you're going to shoot. And you know what's brought all this on is the advent of silencers or suppressors. Everybody wants subsonic so that they're keeping that bullet weight. They're keeping the bullet below the sound of the speed of sound, if that makes any sense. So what we really need to focus on as regular gun guys, whether you reload or whether you don't, whether you're buying factory ammo or whether you're making your own, what you need to realize is people a whole lot smarter than anybody on this panel, except probably CW, and have thought this out and have done the math that that Curtis said he wanted to see the math on that. Man, that blows my wig. I'm not that guy, but I think by and large, if we're buying a rifle and we're buying bullets or we're buying ammo, more than likely what you're buying off the shelf is going to work in your gun.
Yeah. Don't get so wrapped up in this that you got to have something. And there is optimal twist for every bullet weight or use or range or caliber. Absolutely. But that's optimal. That's like precisely perfect for certain conditions on a certain day at a certain velocity, elevation, temperature. See what I mean? You can get crazy with this, and you're only really going to gain a tiny little bit that's only really going to be useful at the extreme ranges, the most extreme ranges. Something that Roger brought up, and it's something I've been kind of thinking about mentioning here, and because we're pretty much all talking about smokeless metallic cartridges, but to throw a twist or a curve or just more information out at you is black powder muzzle loaders, specifically round ball, patch round ball. I was going to say firearms, but muzzle loaders. A 50 caliber round ball gun is going to see about a 1 in 66 twist, one turn in 66 inches. So these may have 30 or 35 inch barrels. They don't have 60 inch barrels. So those don't get a full revolution in the barrel. You step up to 54 caliber, and you see that number go up to about 70 or 72. One turn in 70 or 72 inches. There's where the caliber difference makes a difference, or you see the optimal rifling make a difference. 45 is going the other way. You're going to see down in the upper 50s optimal, upper 50s to around 60 inches, one turn in 66 or 60 inches rather, 58 inches. And that's just optimal for that round ball, because there's nothing shorter than a round ball as far as a projectile, a sphere. After that, you're, you got something really light or really short. You see the muzzle loaders, a lot of them will be 50 caliber now, will be like 1 in 48, 1 in 36. Once you get into those 30-inch numbers, you're looking at a barrel that's designed for conical bullets, not for round balls. And you see the 1 in 50, 1 in 48, those are combination twist barrels. Those are going to work for round balls okay, but they're still going to work good for conicals or conventional style bullets. And that's black powder.
Yeah, I got a rifle. It's 1 in 8. It's in an AR platform. So,
Well, I want to say something if you don't mind, Jamie. I don't have much education on loading and all that stuff, but I do know a few things that from experience back in our paintball gun days. It was very easy to adjust the pressure on that we were shooting, and you had too much pressure, the ball would definitely go, not stay straight. Not enough, it would drop. Barrels, made all the difference in the world, matching, the longer barrel and stuff like that. But also, when you get into that, if anybody's ever been a bow hunter, you can sit out in your yard and shoot, 45 yards and, and hit a skull can every time. You get 40 foot up in the air on a tree stand and shoot down at a deer, you're probably going to miss it unless you practice. There's just all kinds of stuff that goes into, shooting and distance. Myself personally, pistol or rifle, I did a lot of, always done a lot of hunting, and then, try, not real long distance, but for me, it's always been the longer the barrel, the better for me, I assume up to a certain extent, I ain't never shot a 60-inch barrel or nothing, but, trap shooting, bird shooting, it's just the longer the barrel on a pistol or rifle, I seem to get more accurate shots and stuff. And so
I agree, man. I think there is a point where a barrel gets too long and actually creates the drag on a particular projectile coming out of the barrel, but I don't think that's anything that you can buy. I think you have to order
Depends
something.
on the caliber. Depends on the caliber.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Standard pressure 22 long rifle is about 16 inches.
Well, see, I was wondering about 357 Magnum out of my 20-inch Rossi, and that's no.
Yeah, no.
That's,
But you can see 38s where you'll see a velocity drop.
yeah.
Yeah. You saw that with standard pressure 9mm too. Back in the day before you saw a lot of plus Ps and stuff, 9mm in carbines would actually lose velocity. 45s too would actually lose velocity because they're designed for short barrels.
Yep. That hot, fast powder. Mark, what's going on, man? You hadn't said a whole lot. You're sitting over there combing that mane.
This is one of those areas that I don't have a lot of experience, and I'm learning some of these things through learning the reloading. It's something I never really paid attention to. I knew that there was twist in there, but I didn't ever pay attention to the rate. And I guess after building a couple of ARs and having some differences in some, that brought it up. And we've been talking about the difference in barrel length. I might have shot pistol before, and I might have shot rifle before, but I never really shot them at the same time with the same caliber, and to see the difference. So I'm kind of just sitting back, soaking some of this in, and thinking about where I'm going to apply it later.
Yeah, Ronnie makes a real good point, and we talked about 22s there. I have a CZ 452 trainer that has a 29-inch barrel, and I love to shoot standard velocity in that because you don't need hearing protection. The barrel's so long that it's quiet. But if you try to shoot like CBs or quiets in that barrel, half the time you're sticking them in the barrel. They don't make it out of the barrel. That's how slow and how much resistance that long barrel can impart on really, really slow projectiles. They actually they don't always make it out of the barrel.
That it is a thing. So there is.
Well,
that.
I'll tell you what, out at our club, we have a silhouette match out there they do once a month during the fairer months out of the year. And, they put rams out at 200 yards and they shoot them with 22s. And, the CZ is the top performer. I'll tell you that. I've got a 452 Farmer that has a trigger job done on it. And that thing's amazingly accurate, even at 200 yards. I mean, it's shoot probably within 2 inches. CZs those are great rifles. They are fantastic. I also have a 455 trainer, like you were talking about. And yeah, you're right. The longer barrel, if you shoot, the 22 quiet, in it, it's got less noise than a pellet rifle. It's crazy.
You just try to really hope that bullet clears the muzzle, man.
No, yeah.
And it don't drop right there in front of you.
Don't worry, Hillbilly Up. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure and get you reloading, whether you know it or not.
He's already headed that way.
He's going to get hooked. He's going to get hooked.
Yeah, no doubt. But it's going to probably sadden you guys that I'll probably start out with shotgun.
Hey, man, that's a different rabbit hole.
I know, but
I think that's
love
great.
to shoot
I'm-
shotguns.
He'll be able, if you start up with shotgun, then I'm going to come to you for advice. 'Cause I've been thinking about it, but I haven't done it yet. I've shot shotgun, hunted with shotgun, never reloaded. So I'll
Yeah,
follow
Seth-
you.
My grandfather, he reloaded, his 12 gauge and stuff, and so that's really the only reloading I've been around. And with just a little bit of studying, I think I can do it without any problem. But who knows?
Hey, Hillbilly, if I can give you a piece of advice for your first machine to buy,
Yeah.
try to get yourself a mech. They are farm machinery. They are built to take the abuse over the years, and they reload very well. They're very well made, and I have a mech 650, and like I said, it's farm machinery. It's built to plow the field, man. I'm telling you, they're good machines, and they don't cost a lot.
Oh, cool. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, you bet. Look, hey, just get a 600
600.
Junior.
Yeah,
Yeah, 600
that's what I'm
Junior.
looking at. That's what I'm
Yeah,
looking at, Dave.
Buy it on eBay or something like that. Somebody's selling one because you can get parts for them. I mean, they're always going to be making parts from Mech. Mech's not going to go out of business. Yeah,
I
are
appreciate
probably the
that,
number
'cause-
one. They're the number one reloading tool out there for shotgun, the most widely sold.
Yeah,
That's good. Thank you. I was going to start out with just one of my wife's teaspoons, a pair of vice grips, and a vice. So that's probably a lot better information to start out with.
you can.
That's how
get
CW
kits-
started out.
You can get kits to do it by hand without a
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah.
I've got a little press that it comes from Russia, and that's all they do. And it's just they put the hole in there, they punch the primer out, put a new primer in, and then you go ahead and push put the powder charge in, and then the wad, and then the shot, and then you use a little folding crimp on the top, and it's just a single handle little thing. It's pretty cool. And shoot, they're not that expensive. They're like $30.
Yeah. But,
Good night,
yeah,
MJ, bro. Thanks for being here, brother.
Go ahead, Mr. Gabriel.
In the spring and
And that's
fall, it's
another
nothing for me to go through a lot of 12 gauge, shells.
Well, I'm going to
So
tell you what. One thing I discovered: the Russians, since they are so restrictive on their firearms that they can buy, whether rifles, pistols, the one thing that they do have a lot of ease on getting because it's more of a sportsman thing is shotguns. And those guys have put every single ounce of research into how to make a shotgun slug shoot like a rifle. And I'm going to tell you what, there are some shotgun slugs molds that you can buy that come out of Russia, and they are just amazing. I mean, where you can put 5 shots through the same hole at 100 yards. They're amazing, amazingly accurate.
Fortune Cookie did a bunch of those far egg molds, and didn't you do some of those too, Dave? I'm not sure on video.
Got Cookie involved in it. Yeah, Cookie. Yeah, I sent some to Cookie, and I gave him some out here at the range. He was up here, and I gave him some, and I said, just try these out. He loaded them up. He was dancing out in the parking lot down there in California. I mean, he's been shooting those Lee key drive forever, and he's been trying to figure out what's the magic to make it work. And man, he was dancing out there in the parking lot. Man, you couldn't believe the accuracy that he got with those Russian ones.
I think we're in trouble getting those molds out of Russia right now. I know that James over on the Reloaders Network was selling them through his outfit, but I think that they put the kibosh on importing those. But boy, that slug seemed to just outshine everything else. It was great.
I got the hydrant mode, the hydrant, mold.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny though, I kind of named that. I was making a video on it, and I said, that looks like a fire hydrant. And man, I'll tell you what, I didn't know how many viewers I had. Next thing everybody's calling it the fire hydrant one. So that was kind of cool.
Well, it looks like it, yeah.
Yeah, even Sarvog wouldn't call it the hydrant load, and that's exactly what it looks like—a flying fire hydrant through the air. It is amazing. I think
very interesting to me. To
like 560 grain bullet.
To cast, load, and shoot for shotgun.
Yeah, Cal Flattermouse did a series on it. And he did amazingly accurate. All those.
Welcome back, CW.
Thank you. I don't know what happened. It made a little burping noise, and bloop, it was gone. It was shut down.
Ellie tried to eat the cable. I saw her do it.
He's over there sleeping.
Before we got into the whole shotgun world and kind of got lost in that, one thing I was thinking about is the Europeans and, the way that they have went around, research on twist rate. And like the 8mm Mauser has a left-handed, twist rate. And, here in America, we make a right-handed, twist rate. And, the Russians, the
equator.
The 760 by 54, and then also the British with all the stuff that they did. And look at the Swiss. My K31, it's got I think it's a 1 in 11.5 twist rate. It's 30 caliber, but it's 1 in 11.5. So I don't know how they came up with that, but the GP11 round, man, shoots awesome through that. You can shoot a postage stamp with that rifle. It's awesome. Probably one of the most accurate rifles I have.
It's all about the equator, Dave. It's like your toilet bowl. It swirls one way above the equator and the other way below it.
I've heard that before.
Yep.
Now we're gonna have a toilet bowl talk.
When you put one out there on the 9-ring, even though you're concentrating as hard as you can, and you don't know why it went out on the 9-ring. Well, you know what? There's the Coriolis effect. You know what I mean?
Exactly right. Yep.
Yeah, that's what it is. The only thing stationary in the universe was that bullet as it flew through the air. Everything else was still moving. True.
That's deep.
Well, you know what? There's some truth to that, because when they had the big naval guns, they had to figure that into, their ballistics when they went and fired at targets, that the world was still moving. And they would be, like Big Bertha and all those great big guns that Germany had when they were shooting in England, they'd be like 2 miles off, a mile to 2 miles off. And they figured it out that the world's moving, it's turning. That's truism. but it's not enough for small arms or a pistol at 25 yards or anything like that. No.
No, when you start shooting a rifle at 1,000+ yards, now that the curvature there does come into play.
Absolutely.
It starts to affect everything.
Yeah, but you can make corrections for that.
I want to say thank you to William C. Chapin for that video he did today. I thought Chelsea, Michigan was a wonderful, beautiful little town, and he had a beautiful day to do that. And I think small town America will always be the heart and soul of this great country. And for that, Curtis, we thank you. And I need to do a rebuttal and give him.
I watched that video. If you guys haven't seen it, and if you're not subscribed to William C. Chapin's channel, go do it. He has some great shooting videos. He does a lot with milsurp stuff, and he's a competitor, and he's good at it. And he does some builds and etc. But today he puts out this video about this little town of Chelsea, where this stuff right here is actually made. And I watched the video, and he's taking us through this little tour through this beautiful town in Michigan. It's just a gorgeous town, and I can't think what he's doing. You know, why is he doing this? And then he pulls up to the Jiffy corn muffin factory, which is in Chelsea, and I thought, okay, now I see what you're up to. You're gonna go slap poor old Jamie in the face with some more cornbread. But
ever since you guys started that, I keep getting this pop up, in the corner there, this Jiffy corn muffin thing. I don't know who got into my computer or whatever, but I get this pop up every once in a while. It comes up over.
Oh, it's hilarious, and what's even better is to read the ingredients list on the back of this thing, and down at the bottom it gives the address of the plant there in Chelsea, and the last line says contains bioengineered food ingredients. Yeah. What in the world? You talk about a catch-all phrase. But anyway, it is what it is. They make corn muffins. They don't make cornbread. And they make some blueberry muffins and some other stuff. But that plant is up there. But Curtis's tour through his little town, it's a gorgeous town. I'm going, man, I live there. And then I remember, Curtis showing us video of the wintertime. Yeah, no. All right, I'm done. Thanks.
Yeah, so that little place reminded me of my town. When you get to the old downtown area, and I'll need to do a VR to that video and take him around Rome and show him around if I can figure out how to get my phone to mount up in the windshield. And of course, I'll have to go and take my car to the car wash, our car, the wife's car. It seems like every time we get the car washed and we pull up in the driveway, the cat jumps up on the windshield. And,
that's great.
If I did it right now, all you would be able to see would be cat footprints. And
we all kind of just did this series about our first gun, or for Lakeview, and it brings up an idea in my little pea brain here, as it's only that big. What if we all did a video of our town en route to the range where we go shoot? Some guys like Jesse B Outdoors, you just got to open the back door, or Uncle Jim or some of those guys. But that might be kind of a fun little series to do and show off the town, show off the places where we live. We do the chat series, and we do the interviews, and we do these kinds of things, and all we see is the room that we're sitting in. Mm-hmm. That might be kind of a fun thing for us to do. One of these days we'll have to come up with an excuse to do it, but I'd love to do something like that.
Mhm.
So you're wanting everybody to do a video on where they live.
Yeah, something like that.
So you want to see the chemical. So you want to see the chemical plant for anhydrous
no.
ammonia.
Hey,
Mr.
NH3, man.
You want to see you want to see the Abrams tank plant because that's
Yeah.
here too.
Mr. Chafin wants to, have the B-52s playing in the background Love Shack while he's driving through Rome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I heard that, the
I got
B-52
Falcon
has a big
9s going
drop
off
where
here
you
all
want
the time.
as well.
I'd have to drive back and forth through my town 5 times just to get a minute worth of video.
That's good, though. That tells people what we're, who we are and where we are. I think I'm going to do it anyway, even if you guys don't.
Oh yeah, it's cool.
I think I'll do that. I'll do that.
See, my town's called Rome, and we are far away from where the B-52s were from. They originally were, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but my take on them is they were a college garage band starting out of the University of Georgia in Athens.
That was a long time ago. Great band too, guys. If you haven't heard, B-52s, they're great.
Well, I mean, they ain't no Charlie Pride, but
I'm begging Dolly Parton about that.
Yeah.
So, which building do they write the song "Love Shack" about?
Don't care.
One of the songs that his girlfriend at one time, one of the songs that she really liked was
and it was Rusty.
My man, she loved that one, man. I turned that on in the car, and she'd snuggle next to me, and I put my arm around her. Man, that song playing, boy, she just turned into butter. Boy, she loved that song.
Yeah, and James or G23, Dan, he takes us every once in a while, when he drives along the coast there in Oregon and shows us some videos of that, and I like that. It's enjoyable to me to put a location with the face.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you guys live? And and Gene's done it a couple of times, and Ms. Hotshot has shown some video and stuff. And Mark has over there, he's shown us a little bit about his town. He gets out on the bike once in a while, and I think that's interesting. It is to me anyway. To make more of a connection to the face.
I've done it.
Yeah.
Back to the beach. I had a little commentary in the car, played a little music.
Yeah. You've shown some video of you, traveling out to the range and whatnot. Usually in the rain.
I'm gonna go. Yeah. So what's funny is that I played music and some of this music nobody's ever heard of, and people are commenting in the comments, "Hey, who did that? That was pretty cool." Who did that? So it kind of expanded my channel somewhat. Yeah.
Yeah, Bama Dad talks about Atlanta Rhythm Section. I really liked that band when I was growing up.
Yeah, good stuff.
Never was much into that punk rock stuff. Let's face it, when they first came out, the B-52s were a little bit punk.
I think they're more into the whole thing about the new wave thing that was going on in the 80s.
A little bit of new age stuff. And when we look back at their original stuff now, it seems pretty mild compared to some of the other.
When you start talking about punk rock, punk rock is like Black Flag and the Dead Kennedys, which, by the way, the Dead Kennedys is very political with their lyrics.
Toxic Reasons, Hauling Souls.
Preach to us, Hot Pot. You know them all. You've listened to them all.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you have.
It's part of my growing up phase,
Yeah. That's it.
Well, we're wandering from the topic, Master Jamie. Is that okay?
Do what?
I said we're wandering away from the original topic. Is that all right, or do we have other fish to fry here?
No, Jamie, that's all.
Jamie.
Dave, I'm gonna throw this in there before we go off the punk rock topic.
Okay.
Des Cadena, the founding member of Black Flag,
Mhm.
the guitarist,
Mhm.
he tattooed his autograph on my leg and did the Black Flag bars, and
Wow.
he's the one that designed them.
Wow.
So
That's how
there you go.
close of a connection you have.
Yeah,
That's awesome. That is. That is burned in memory. Yes.
burned into my leg, man. The guy dug me up.
I got it on my leg.
He wasn't a tattoo artist, but he sure enjoyed doing it. And he had a blast.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was fun hanging with him.
Yeah.
Speaking of fish to fry, if you guys out there in the side chat don't subscribe to Georgia Boy 44, the pastor as we know him, he put out a video today with his son Levi, caught his personal best largemouth bass, and he caught himself a whale. I'm talking about a 6-pound largemouth bass that took 2 of them to bring that sucker in the boat. That was a great little video. And his son, you know, I always applaud a man who will spend time with his kids, and instead of letting, you know, the child care people do it, or the county do it, or the state do it, or the school do it, or whatever. Man who goes out and spends time with his kids is plus 10 in my book. And Georgia Boy 44 does that with his son. And they were out fishing, and I'm telling you, Levi caught himself a whopper. It was great. It was a fun video. So check out Georgia Boy 44 sometime if you haven't watched him. He didn't put up a lot, but he does, you know, now and then.
Good night, Andy.
Y'all say
Good night, Andy.
Good night, Andy.
See you, buddy. Thanks for
Well.
being here.
Night, Andy.
I see this right here is my heart. Leonard Skinner,
Leonard
Alma
Skinner,
Brothers,
brothers.
Atlanta Rhythm Section, Hank Jr., Waylon, Willie. And as far as country
You like-
goes, the
you
older
like-
the better.
You like Hank Jr.?
Here goes a political
I
statement.
give up. I give up. Yeah. Okay.
I met him. He's a jerk.
Okay.
Every time one of his songs come on now, I shut it down.
Mhm.
Well,
His
He's,
personality overrides his ability to be a musician. That's my opinion.
oh
Anyway,
man,
and to
all
get
out.
to get a little bit more back on subject here about the twist rate, bullet weight, all that, I want to kind of give the camera over to Jamie, because interesting about the 35 Remington. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that, Jamie, about what you like about the 35 Remington and those real heavy bullets?
Oh man, I just got
I
some
know,
bad.
I know. You didn't know there was going to be a step. You weren't prepared.
Yeah, it seems like it's a slower twist rate, but it's designed around that 200 grain bullet,
Yeah.
and of course it's got to be a. It can't be a sharp pointed. Can't you can't put a sharp point bullet in there because you're going to have a chain reaction in your feeding tube, but it shoots. This is what I've always heard about those type of guns. It's a lever action. It's a 20-inch barrel. You got 2 barrel bands around it, and you can't. They're not going to shoot. They're just not going to shoot like a bolt gun. Well, no, they're not a bolt gun. They're not going to shoot like a bolt gun, but I can make one ragged hole with my hand loads at 50 yards, and that's a 200 grain bullet. I run them about 14 BHN, and it's running about 2,150 feet per second, and it's a thumping when it goes off. I wish Chris from the 740 was here. I think Gene shot some of my hunting loads, didn't you?
Yes, sir, I did. Those are bangers. You don't want to shoot too many of them. Just enough to sight it in before you take it out.
Walter, what was that caliber that was the favorite for? He used to call it his cat gun. That was Teddy Roosevelt. It was like the 404 Winchester, or isn't that the 401 or 404 Winchester? He called it
405.
yeah, the 405 Winchester.
405, yeah.
Big medicine.
It's cat gun, and same thing. It's just it's kinetic energy. I mean, a massive amount of kinetic energy hitting that animal, and they just can't survive that. That's how they did it. You know, I would expand on that because me and Jamie talked about it. I talked about the way that they used to test handgun rounds at the turn of the century, which is kind of morbid, but you know, they wanted to know what worked, and that's it. And they didn't have ballistic gel and stuff like that. You know, yeah, 405 Winchester, hammer of Thor. That's what he called it.
He called it big medicine.
Yep.
I have not G23. That's heavy for. Well, it ain't too bad.
I got a couple videos on 200 grain 40 Smith & Wessons.
Did you shoot them in 40 S&W or 10 mil CW?
40. I got them up over
Really?
1100 per second. Yep.
Wow, how did I miss that? I got to go back and look.
Yep.
Hasbro's picking on you, Walter. I just I like the 30-30 too. That's one I meant to bring up was hand loads. Yes, Steve knows what I'm talking about. See, the 30-30 was intended to be a 170 grain flat point bullet, and not always a great big me plat on the end of it. But I've got one right here I should show. CW will like this. This is a 30 caliber 165 grain, and it's, if you like big me plats, you'll like this bullet. This is out of a NOE mold, CW. You might have that one. It's 165 grain, 30 cal, 309.
Yep.
And I'm trying to get that one to work in 30-30, and I'm sure it will.
The one I sent you is a good one too.
Yeah. You've sent me so many bullets, CW, I can't keep up with them
The
anymore.
last box, the 150s, 440, 311, 440.
Let's show these off. See, every time CW gets a new mold, I get another box of bullets.
Of course.
That's
And
part of the community, dude.
And I am not complaining about that.
You talk about a moldaholic, man. I'll tell you one thing. CW, he is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to molds. I mean, it's an endless pit. I mean, you throw the rock in, in that well, man, you're gonna be waiting a while until it hits the bottom. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah. Good one, Dave. Yeah.
Is this the one you're talking about?
That's the one.
Look at that
this
beautiful
one,
bullet.
I can't wait to get that going.
That's a gorgeous bullet.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
And there's a 35 caliber bullet that's almost identical to this. Well, it's just bigger, And
Round nose 9mm.
no. These right here are interesting too. I can't wait to try these. These have got that. Got a pretty good sized meat plat on those as well. I don't know how well
sir.
y'all can
Look at
see.
the nose on that bullet. Holy
I
cow.
think that's more like a ranch dog, isn't it, CW?
It's a ranch dog copy. Yeah, that's an Arsenal mold.
Yeah.
311, 170.
I
Boy,
do
oh
not
boy.
own any Arsenal.
I don't
No,
either,
yeah.
Jamie.
We need to fix that, Walter.
I got
Yes,
one, and actually, you know what? I've got one mold from Arsenal, and it's that 200 grain semi-wad cutter. No, full wad cutter, 44.
I like the nose on that one. It's got a small meat plat.
Yeah.
It's actually called a flat point. The name of that mold is 310
Yeah.
165 flat nose. It's an NOE mold. That's that XCM bullet.
Yeah,
Donnie
this is
knows what it
the
is.
grade in 308.
Yeah, that's what I gave you extra for the 308 there.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get those powder coated up. I've got 3 batches of 44 caliber bullets in there that I haven't even powder coated yet.
So Walter likes those small meat plats, huh?
Oh no! You know what? To a big extent,
anything more than a
I'm with
handful of
CW. CW likes big meat plats because they do a lot of damage.
Yeah, they do.
And if you're hunting with them,
I was making a joke.
does make a big difference. But for me, a recreational, non-competitive shooter, and I've competed in other areas besides shooting, and so I know what had happened if I started competing with shooting. I'd have to remortgage the house. But uh, for me, a round nosed bullet pokes just as good a hole in my splatter target as a fat meat plat does. But the fat meat plats drop better out of the mold for me anyway, and I like the looks of them better, et cetera, et cetera. CW has other reasons for liking a fat meat plat. He is fat meat plat boy. If you guys don't know CW, he likes a big wide meat plat. And if you're not a bullet caster, the meat plat is the top of the nose of that bullet, and it makes a difference. And what happens when that bullet hits the target? For me, I don't care. At 25 feet, 50 yards, they all poke the same hole. Not the same thing if you're out there hunting with them.
Well,
it's
like Jamie, I mean, that flat meat plat, and you shoot an animal with that, it creates a huge wound channel. And so you kind of got to balance, how much meat you want to destroy when you shoot those. And I'll tell you one thing. The one thing that's really cool about casting bullets, is that there's all these different designs that have been thought up through the years, all these different manufacturers and everything like that. And they all have their purpose. And you know what? Discovering all that and actually living through that and buying these different molds and trying these different things. Wow. When a person first gets into firearms, they just go to the store and they buy any old ammo and they fire it and whatever, and that sort of thing. But the other side of firearms ownership is when you start getting into hand loading and you discover this huge world. And then later on, you get into casting. And then it just gets even bigger. It's huge. And there's so much, to get into in there. I mean, it's mind-boggling. It's an endless.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Absolutely, Dave. And the whole. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I was going to go off onto bullet casting, and we don't need to do that here tonight. But you're absolutely right. There's just an awful lot, to be discovered.
Yes.
If you're a beginning shooter or reloader, about bullet design.
Exactly.
It's a whole big thing. It's not.
It has everything to do with your gun. It's the other side. It's the other side of firearms of what kind of firearm you have. And firearms vary from different manufacturers. So different manufacturers' guns are going to shoot bullets different from different bullet weights and all that other stuff.
Oh, sure. There's this interaction. There's the shooter, there's the firearm, and there's a projectile. And those three things that's a big gear meshing thing. And, whether you got positive track back there or whatever, that's a huge piece of shooting is that interaction between the shooter, the firearm, and the projectile. Or the ammo if you're not a reloader. So yeah, it's a big deal. And we were talking earlier tonight about how much this seemingly small thing about twist rate in your barrel and the weight of the bullet versus twist rate in your barrel versus the length of the barrel, and then you add into that various powders and fast burning powders and slower burning powders. It's such a fascinating, hobby that you can get into. So many facets that interact together. Yeah, great thing. If you guys haven't, started reloading yet, do it
Really
soon.
missing
That's
out.
all I'm going to say.
Yeah, you're really missing out. If you don't hand load yet,
Yeah.
you're really missing out. I mean, because it's the key to really unlock the potential of your gun.
Yes.
It is.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
it gets to a point where you're either testing the load, or you're testing the gun, or you're testing your own personal marksmanship. And it boils down to that.
It's like the difference between buying, a pair of shoes off the shelf in the store versus having somebody custom fit a pair of shoes for your foot. And
exactly.
It's good to see Big Al out there.
Oh, Big Al! Hey, man.
Big Al says dimples add spin as a smooth ball would be a knuckleball. Yes, it would. And Steve said he always wondered why they didn't put those same dimples on a muzzleloader ball. But they say the dimples are for aerodynamics to make it go further and straighter. Let me tell you something. It's hard to hit a golf ball straight. Of all the things I've ever tried to do, playing golf was the hardest thing I've ever tried to learn to do. Playing guitar is a close second, but I was a 6 handicap at one time on our little course down here. Of course, when you move off somewhere else, then that handicap goes way up. It was an easy course, but
sure.
And Mike sent me some pictures. You ain't gonna believe this crap. Come on, really, Rebel?
Maybe we should make dimpled round ball molds. I don't know. Yeah, I see it. Yeah,
I've seen that.
There it is, right there. Outstanding. Yeah.
I think that Paul Flatermouth shot some slugs that were like that.
Well, the picture looks better on my phone than it looked on YouTube. So
we got it.
All right, we got to get ready to get out of here, fellas.
Good night. Holy cow.
Jamie, one thing I want to bring up before we really start into close. One thing that nice about the Georgia Shooting Connection, and I found out even in the side chat, we all have our own different personalities, different views, on the experiences and education that we have and that sort of thing on this. And this is where we can get together and we can discuss all this stuff as friends and get along. And this is just really great, And we have to realize that sometimes our personalities get in the way, and we have a little stronger feeling about something, or not so much. And we've got to learn to let go of what we might think. We have to open our ears and actually listen to what the other person's saying. Just quit thinking, start listening, and that sort of thing. It's like I was saying earlier about wobbly wheels, like on the shopping carts out there in front of Walmart. We pull one out, and if it wobbles too much, we put it back and we get another one. As people, we all got wobbly wheels. Every one of us does. This is a place where we all get together, and wobbly wheels or not, we all get along. It's really awesome. I really think that's great. Yeah.
You know what I say to that, Dave?
Shut up.
No, you're absolutely right, Dave. No, you're right on
270 Winchester is the finest cartridge known to man.
Fletcher.
Seriously, man, I appreciate your feelings.
In some ways, I agree with that. It is a great cartridge, and 270 is
I only
awesome.
disagree because it's Walks Fletcher. He's right, but I disagree with him anyway.
Well, he also thinks a 94 Winchester is the best rifle made. So.
Yeah, and he also hates purple, but
And he doesn't like purple.
I think y'all need to leave me alone about the Jiffy thing. I'm not so much a Jiffy hater. I'm just a cornbread snob. That is corn muffin mix. Thanks to my brother down there, Hillbilly Up, educating me. That is not cornbread. It's muffin
It's
mix.
corn
Can I ask you, did you
muffin
try
mix.
any of the blueberry or anything?
Oh,
No,
I do
but
the
I'm
blueberry
going
all the time.
to.
It's
I'm
good.
going to in the morning, man.
It's good. It honestly is.
Yeah,
I'm
it
more.
ain't cornbread. It's corn muffins
Nah,
mixed with
It's
blueberries. It's good.
okay. It's early matrimony food. You know, that's what I call it. Early matrimony, where you're eating hamburger and macaroni and cheese and
Early
and
matrimony.
Jiffy cornbread mix. With your chili.
You know what I have to say about you guys who did early matrimony?
What's that?
Did you get that? I got nothing. I didn't do it. I got nothing, guys.
Well, there's three different types of furniture. There's early American, early European, and early matrimony.
I got early orange crate in this place. How much fun is this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to try some of that stuff tomorrow morning. I had an appointment to go to a match, IDPA match tomorrow morning, but I canceled because wife's not feeling well. Her blood pressure took a spike. And, uh, I got to take care of that. I can't.
That's a big deal.
She
hope
had
you
a
get
stroke
better,
back
buddy.
she had a stroke back in November of 21, I think. Yeah, it was
I remember that.
this November. This past November was a year ago. So I'm coming up on 2 years. But thanks, Big Al. Appreciate it, man. It's great seeing you on here, Big Al. When you ain't out there typing your jokes in, man, we're concerned that
Yeah, you
you're
get
not
him on the
doing
board.
well. And thank you, Big Al. We appreciate y'all, and we appreciate all of y'all. So let's start going through the room. Let's start with the man of few words, Mr. Mark Thomas. You coming up? You doing anything this next week?
Well, probably going to run the boy to Airsoft tomorrow. He wants to do that. And we'll see about Sunday. Uh, Weather's been pretty hot up here. But next week, probably Monday or Tuesday, whenever it's real quiet down there at the range in the morning, I'm going to take down some of that stuff that I loaded up to try out. I might just do some short little bits of video about each one instead of making one long video. Just show what I did and show what the results were. Maybe even take the chrono down and see how close the numbers are to what the book says it should be. So that's kind of it.
Do you have quick loads?
No.
You can get quick loads or the Gordon's tool. I don't know if Gordon's is. I know the Mr. Gordon passed away, and I don't know if anybody stepped up to take over it or not or whatever. But what's his name? One of the big YouTube guys has a lab radar, and he says that the results you get from quick loads is within 5 feet per second of velocity that he gets on his lab radar. So take that for what it's worth. The one that does Ultimate Reloader, that guy.
Yeah.
So
Gavin?
Tube, yeah. So you can take that for what it's worth, but I really trust quick loads. Not that I'm going to be replacing my reloading manuals, but
It's a tool, but it doesn't replace it for me. It's nice to be able to look at all powders, other than just what the manual shows, and it kind of shows you why some powders aren't used with some calibers.
It's a great tool. It is. So let's go down to Mr. Hillbilly Up, see what he's got coming up this week.
All right, buddy. Well, first of all, I want to thank y'all for having me on here. I really appreciate that. Always a blast every Friday night. I look forward to it. Great panel, side chat. It's just, I just enjoy it so much. So I want to thank you all for having me. I am going to be filming my video of not my first, well, my first gun. It's actually my second gun because I don't have my first gun. And I just been super busy with the 4th of July video and all that stuff. So I am going to get that done to help out Lakeview and his wife and stuff. And I have a quite, I think, pretty good twist to that. So I am hoping that what I'm willing to do is going to raise some money for those good folks. So we'll just kind of leave it at that. But that's about it. And then I got a live tomorrow night, Guns, Bear, and Therapy. It's at 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern. So if y'all ain't done nothing, be more than happy to, have y'all join. We just try to have some fun and have a good time there. So anyway, appreciate y'all.
Good night, 6-shooter. A lot of folks are. Chad Kelly almost got him a lab radar. Hasbro said he's been using his lab radar for 6 years. So, yeah. So, save up for Mr. Viejo, Mr. Walter. How you got something coming up, or you already said that?
Yeah, I got a couple things going on. I've got the Moldy Monday series has been real popular, and I've done folks have seemed to enjoy that. And for those of you in the side chat who haven't seen it, I'm a mold collector, or maybe a moldy collector. I'm not sure what's underneath there, but if I see a good deal on a bullet casting mold, I'll go grab it. And as a result of that, over the years, I've got drawers full of bullet molds that I've never used. They're just sitting there. So 3 or 4 months ago, I said, you know what? It's time to bring these out and show them the light of day. And so I've been pulling out one a week and calling it the Moldy Monday series. And what I do is I go cast them up, load them up, go shoot them, and show folks that here's what this mold looks like. Here's what the hardware is all about. Here's what you got to do to go cast it. And here's what happens when an old man tries to shoot that bullet. Sometimes they do well and sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's my fault. Sometimes it's the bullet's fault. But so we got a Moldy Monday coming out again. We're up to getting close to 20 in that series. So that's coming out on Monday. And I don't know, not much else beyond that. That's kind of where I'm at today. So, yeah, I appreciate the invitation to participate in this channel. And I remarked over there on the side chat earlier, what a great thing. All of these topics that come up, and we shift directions periodically here and there, and we get all of this really great information from all of these guys over here that know what they're talking about, that average Joe shooter like me can bring home and put to work in our shooting, reloading, and casting endeavors. So I think that's just great. I'm happy to be here. There won't be anything really thrilling from Viejo this week other than Moldy Monday. So there you go, guys. I'm done.
Thanks, Walter. Mr. Dave.
Hi, Sandra.
What you got coming up?
Who?
You muted? Maybe you're muted, Dave.
Well, I just got more things with my health that I'm trying to navigate. I have imaging coming up here pretty soon. Then end of August, I'm going to go ahead and consult with a surgeon, and then I'm probably going to end up having another surgery in September. So, guys, you keep me in your prayers, and I got to get this. I got to get this plate out of my arm. I got to get it out of my arm. It interferes with my shoulder bone right here, and I can't lift my arm any further than like maybe 45 degrees without it just killing me. So I got to get that plate out of there, but the bone has to heal. So anyway, that's how that's been going. But other than I went to the range and I reloaded some 9mm and I went out and had some fun with it. It was all left-handed, of course. But I got in there and when it felt really good to go to the range. I haven't been there for ever. So I'll tell you what, that 130 grain M&P mold thing shoots like wildfire. Yes, it does, man. That's a great mold. It is.
Yeah, I need something like that. Man, thanks for being here, Dave. We appreciate you, brother.
Hey, anytime, man. Anytime. Just send me an email. I'll come on and maybe next time I'll keep my mouth shut and just be a listener.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Y'all gotta leave Dave alone, man. He's in the house by himself all day, man. He needs male. He needs testosterone. I'm glad he wasn't here.
He needs attention for sure. When
I tell you,
when you get to be that old and looking like that, you
Oh,
need attention.
come on.
Right, Dave? Come on. Wait, well, look at me. Come on, man. How long we've been pals anyway? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just like me and Jamie. We're real close, and we're real close in age. And Jamie shares some things with me, and I'm like, dude, I am right there. I know exactly what you're talking about. It is not fair. Getting old is not fair sometimes, man. It's like yeah. But God blesses us with the years, and for some reason He does, and that's the way it is,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. So let's get up here to Mr. Gene. Thanks for being here, Dave.
Yeah, thanks.
What you got coming up, Gene?
Oh, well, thanks for having me on. I learned a lot tonight. Actually got to contribute just a little bit too, which was odd in this group, being that I'm the youngster in the reloading room. Let's see. Got to work a little bit tomorrow. Sunday, I've got a USPSA event we'll go to. I got a Rock Island 10mm that I'm doing some work on. I got it in. I'm going to try to get it all tuned up, and I'm going to try to use that in some competitive shooting. You just don't see that at the range. I'm going to be that guy. But other than that, man, I hope everybody has a blessed weekend. Take good care of yourselves. And like Mock says, you don't see someone smiling, be the reason they smile.
Absolutely, man.
Yes, absolutely.
So good night, Edward. Thank you for being here. Big Al shot his Rock Island Armory 10mm today. How cool is that?
Mm.
Did we have a Scotsman sighting?
We did.
What's going on, Scotsman? I'm going to call you as soon as we're done here. Anyway, let's get over to CW, see what he's working on, and we'll clear the deck for Mr. Gizzard Gary.
I got probably have a couple of shorts I want to do, a couple ideas I got, but I want to finish up one video on these two molds that I just got, the two cheapy Lee molds. They were nothing special, pretty inexpensive, but very heavy for caliber, and I thought it was pretty neat because that's kind of right up my alley. So I had to grab those, and one of them turned out to be a lot heavy for caliber. I thought it was a 200 grain, turned out to be a 240. But the guy I bought them from didn't really know much about anything bullet-wise, so he couldn't answer any questions for me. So I took a chance on them because they were cheap enough. And the molds look good, cast good. So check that out. It's definitely going to be a rumble because I've got casting in it. But I might pull out pieces of it and make a shorter video here for the YouTube. But you can see the whole thing over on Rumble. But that's really about it. My time is not my own, so I do with what I can. So it's been not a lot, so that's why not many videos. But that's about it. Jamie, turn it back to you.
All right, man. Thanks for being here. We all understand. We all have life events to deal with. I got good night, Steve. Good night, everybody. I want to say thank you all for being here. Um, I've got a video up on Rumble and on the Reloaders Network. We appreciate y'all coming around every Friday night. We had like 58 at one point tonight. Unbelievable. Um, we hope the Lord blesses you all real good. And if He's willing, we'll see y'all next Friday night at 8 o'clock. Say good night, y'all.